Hi, very good afternoon to everyone tuning in today. Welcome to another series of mental wellness series conducted by Wellness Network. Okay, today we have two very special guests with us today, two ladies from the Holistic Psychotherapy Center, and I will introduce them shortly. But in the meantime, do like and share and also bring in your comments if you have any questions regarding today's live session on how to better manage your work and life, family life. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in our two guests for today. Okay, they are none other than Miss Shiria, and we also have Miss Honey, both from HPC, and they'll be sharing with us today on the topics. And if you have any questions, please put them in to the comments, and they will be more than happy to share whatever concerns you have regarding mental wellness or how to better manage your work and family life. Okay, first and foremost, may I introduce the two ladies? First up, we have Miss Shiria. Okay, so Miss Shiria,
Yes.
let me share with you, share with everyone your profile. Just hold on. Okay, so Miss Shia is actually a counselor with more than 10 years experience as a holistic psychotherapy in the Psychotherapy Center, HPC. Miss Shia, maybe you want to share more about yourself to all our audience tuning in today?
Yes. Thank you very much, Asri, and good afternoon, everyone. Um, I would like to start off with my introduction. So, I have about 10 years of experience in both corporate as well as in counseling. So, previously, I was working in HR field where I was working in corporates mostly, and then I shifted to my to this field of counseling where I was really passionate about. So, I recently completed my master's and my graduate diploma also from College of Allied Educators, Singapore. So my areas of specialization are mostly in adults and youth. So all mental health issues like depression, anxiety, anger management, stress, and I'm really passionate about the work I do, and that's why I'm here today to share some of the things that I think I can contribute to this topic. Before this, my internship was at Touch Youth Intervention, where I was actually working with youths and families. And mostly these issues were related to cyber addiction, cyber wellness, and yes. So this was what my previous experience has been in Touch Youth Intervention, and yes. So I'm really excited, and I look forward for today's session with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shia, for sharing with us your profile and the things that you can weigh in on later during the discussion. Next up, may I introduce? We have another special guest. She's none other than Miss Hernie. And here she is with us today. Miss Honey,
Hi,
take it
good
away.
afternoon. Thanks, Azri. Thank you for having me, having Shreya and I today. My name is Hernie. I have been a certified visual arts educator for over 20 years, and I've also been in counseling for over 10 years. Um, my passion in visual arts and counseling stems from my previous years in education and my travel around the world. And I'm also integrating using mindfulness in my spare time and also as part of the my counseling technique. So I work with in expressive therapy, including play therapy and art therapy with adults and also children um, to enhance and help their self care. So it it involves different types of therapeutic art activities, and also it also involves in short, I use mainstream counseling modalities with creative interventions to support my clients exploring their emotions. So that's it from me.
Okay, there you have it, everyone. We have a very special guest who specializes in therapeutic art counseling, and of course, another experienced counselor with us today. So don't forget to put any burning questions that you have in our comment section as we have our conversations for today. Okay, ladies, join me back on screen, and we have the two special guests here today. And for those of you who just joined in and you're wondering what is Azri doing with two ladies here to for today's live session. Okay, we are actually going to discuss, considering that there's uh, the trying or the challenging situation that we are having now with COVID, and a lot of us are dealing with being cooped up in our own residence. That there's a lot of steps, a lot of things that we need to remember. From dealing with the ones at home and dealing the ones with in the neighborhood or even the places that we go to. It's really a very anxious time for us. And since today we are going to talk about mental wellness, and it's part of this series organized by Grandi Life, Grandi Wellness Network. And today we are also looking into how to better manage our own work-life balance, and of course, the families that we are so-called facing day to day for these 3-4 months. Ladies, when we are talking about being what the local was called will call kanchong. You're very full of anxiety. You're full of I would say stress. The commonly thrown around word here is stress. Is it really stress that we are looking at? Because there are some who talks about good stress, positive stress, but is it really stress, or is it just another anxiety that we are having? Yeah. So ladies, please.
So, let me start with these times right now, which are really uncertain. And of course, we need to firstly understand, we keep commonly using words like stress, burnout, anxiety. What exactly do we mean and where do we draw the line? So, I think that's one of the first things that we need to really begin with. And then once we know that, okay, these are some of the things that we are really dealing with today, what do we need to tackle these things, and when is it that we really need to seek professional help? So let me just start with anxiety these days. We all really say we are anxious, we are facing a lot of anxiety. What is it? So anxiety is nothing but a feeling of having a lot of worrying thoughts about the future. So just like you have some thoughts about the past, which sometimes you ruminate, make you feel depressed. Anxiety is more of having increased thoughts about the future. So so why do we actually have anxiety? So we also must try to understand there are some things which are not in our control, some things which are in our control, right? So anxiousness begins when we really can't control those things which we don't have control over. So, a very classic example I can say today is the times that we are in right now, which is COVID. We really don't know when things will end. They are very uncertain. We are actually not in our in it's not in our control, and there's a lot of fear also. So this is when this anxiety starts to begin, because all of these things are happening, and it's a perfect example of having anxiety. Of course, we can have anxiety if we are going for an examination, or something for an interview. We really don't know what's going to happen, and we get all kinds of thoughts about the future. What is going to happen? What if I get through? So these are some of the things that really cause anxiety. And yes, Asri mentioned about stress is very commonly used these days. We say we are feeling very stressed, we are feeling very burnt out. And I can just think of an example where you we are working non-stop, right? And we are actually not giving ourselves time to breathe, time to think, time to clear our mind. So yes, a certain amount of stress is important, which is why it's very important for us to keep working, to keep our mind occupied to in a constructive manner. But when the stress actually you can imagine a graph, it really goes up, it increases, that's where it turns into a burnout. So what we are trying to do today is firstly trying to understand what exactly these terminologies mean, and then we will be talking about more on how to catch them, what are the signs, what are the symptoms of catching them, and what can you do uh, from your side to really tackle these things. But there is of course professional help, and we are also going to discuss about when do we seek professional help. Yes.
Yeah, for sharing with us. Okay, so Henny, do you have anything to share with us with regards to anxiety itself?
Yeah, everyone experiences anxiety from time to time, especially during this COVID-19. Anxiety is a feeling of like unease, like such as worry or fear, but anxiety also can be mild or severe. So everyone has feelings of anxiety at some point in their life. So these feelings of anxiety uh, can just be passing worries, or from a stressful day at work. And it is important for us to identify, to notice that we are feeling stress, we are feeling anxiety, and there are common signs of anxiety. And like the common signs, they could be like you're feeling weak or tired, or you have trouble concentrating or thinking about anything other than the present worry or what's going to happen, right? And sleeping problems. This is one of the common signs of anxiety. Feeling nervous, feeling tense, fearful, and also restlessness. And anxiety, if you're not uh, careful, it can affect our body. Take for example, like it can create like sweating, shaking, or nauseous, and even digestive issues, like sometimes you just get tummy ache without eating anything bad, but you still get tummy ache. So these are a few signs of anxiety. Or also, like one may feel too cold or too hot, or you have this rapid heartbeat or chest pain or fast breathing. So anxiety can affect us in many ways, emotionally and also uh, physically.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing those. So, those are the notable signs and symptoms of, if someone were to be having anxiety. Okay, so my question would be, and I'm sure everyone tuning in is also curious, how much anxiety or level of anxiety is okay? When do I, start to worry about worrying? When do I start to being anxious about having anxiety? So what's the normal threshold that it's okay for us to have, but at which point is this no longer okay and we should really get someone to to talk to?
Yes. So, Asri, a very good question. I think when most of the things that you are doing in your day to day life, uh, anxiety is actually not anxiety is actually causing you to not be able to function well in your day to day routine. That's when you need to really consider that things are really not going your way, and you need to take professional help. So, for an example, I can give you one of my clients recently approached me for this issue which he was facing. So, there were signs which were very which were pointing out, like for example, he was not able to sleep at night. There was and it was pretty much like from 2 to 3 days he was not able to sleep well. There was a lot of thoughts that were coming to the mind, to that extent that he was not able to even work well. So it was like his productivity had dropped, and to a level like he was not able to work, and the scores were falling. So some of the things, when you really notice that your day-to-day functioning is really impaired because of anxiety, that's the time when you really should not take it lightly, and you should really approach, take professional help. Of course, it's very, very normal to have this emotion. First of all, I would like to tell everyone, because sometimes people think that the negative emotions, if they are having, it's not normal. But believe me, these are some of the emotions that are bound to happen. As long as we all are human beings, we will have, sometimes we might have two emotions at the same time. And definitely, when the negative emotions really come in our way of functioning, that's when we really need to take steps. And the good news is that we can do a lot before that stage comes. And yes, we are definitely, I'll be sharing more on what can you really do to self care at home, so that that level, that threshold is not reached. So yeah.
Henny, you have anything to share with us regarding the loss of productivity, and how one should actually go into addressing once their threshold, personal threshold, because I believe everyone has their own different threshold, right? Yeah. So
Yes.
when how what's the indicators? Is there any do we wait until it's being pointed out to us that you are not performing? We are very concerned about how you're handling. So on a personal level, how do I identify that it's no longer okay? I'm no longer okay. Yeah, because I think if you generalize it, in terms of being productive and being effective at work, we are talking about work and family life, right? We might be the
Mm-hmm.
sort to hold it back. I don't really share my emotions with my family, but at do which point, like as a guy, do I wait until I have a breakdown? Sometimes some
Mm-hmm.
guys, they are not so forthcoming with their emotions. Is it those times where I would suddenly burst out in tears, and then I realize, oh, this might be too late. Yeah. So are there any more personal indicators, ladies, that you all can share with us, so that if any one of our viewers tuning in today and they say, hey, that's me, I should really reach out. Yeah. So is there any so-called key indicators on a personal level, rather than coming in from my external eyes? Yeah,
I
ladies, please.
Thank you, Azri. First of all, I agree with Shreya. When you are worrying too much and it's interfering with your daily life, like that will be a concern. But also, like, take for example, if I feel like my anxiety, my fear or worry is distressing me, and it's really hard for me to control. That is something that I need to start seeking professional help. And uh, personally, like with friends and experience, like when one feels depressed, and they started to use alcohol or medication to feel better, to get rid of all this pain, to numb themselves. I think that is one strong indication for someone to seek professional help. And also, take for example, if me personally, if I think like, if I feel my anxiety is linked to a physical health, that I'm concerned about, I should, I would go and seek professional help. And one of the most important thing is our thoughts. If my anxiety has, like, is gives me suicidal thoughts, or self harm, uh, this is very important for us to know that we have to seek professional help. So these are the things, that I believe that we should take care of, and we should do something about it when one experience any of this.
I see, I see. Thank you so much for sharing on those points. So I think it will be very valuable for those tuning in, or to look out for these telltale signs, whether it's for themselves or for those around us. So, ladies, thank you so much. So I think let's get into one of the questions that was raised up by one of our viewers. Okay, so uh, how do we tackle anxiety, if we are without resource at the moment? I have not yet seek out professional assistance, and I think I would want to see, being Singaporeans again, we do have our own weaknesses, so we try to manage the things, because stress is part of our life, whether it's work, family, or even on a personal development level. So stress is normal. So an individual probably will want to find out, hey, maybe I should try to
Yes.
manage some so-called stress by myself first. And what can I uh, do to actually calm myself down? Yeah, I mean, if you were to take calming down to be the opposite of being anxious,
Yes.
so what are the techniques, or what are the exercises that I can uh, look into doing to actually try to manage as much as possible, and
Right.
again, before I get professional help?
Yes. So, very good question, and I think that's what I was just coming to, because, like I said, there are two things. One is professional help when things that you've already tried are not really going well, and when emotions are deep rooted, you really think you need a counselor to be alongside and help you with. But definitely, some of the things that you can really do is in anxiety is. The first and foremost, I think, is mindfulness, breathing, deep breathing. I think most of you must have heard of this term, mindfulness. I think we are in a stage where awareness is very high, and a lot of people are actually also practicing, all of this mindfulness meditations, deep breathing. So why I'm actually coming to this is, as you know, if you understand what anxiety is, you will be able to know what to do with it. So once you've understood that it's your thoughts are racing about the future, you want to calm down, you need to get to the present. So what this mindfulness deep breathing exercise or this technique does is it actually really brings you down to the present moment. It calms you down, and so initially, to start with, you can just count when you inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4 in your mind. You can just hold your breath for some time and then exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, when we do it mentally, it is more of just helping you to concentrate on something so that your thoughts don't race ahead. So you know what you're doing is you're anchoring your mind to something. So that's what is the core of bringing it back to the present moment. So some of you might not be very comfortable initially. That's why you can start off with maybe few minutes at the beginning, because it might be very difficult for you to sit for a long time. It's perfectly fine. You can start off with some time at least, and then increase your practice as and when you get more and more trained. So that is one technique. You can, of course, listen to healing sounds, nature sounds. There are a lot of guided meditations available. There are a lot of apps available like Calm, etc., wherein you can really start doing this. And because some of us are auditory learners and we really want to listen to something before we start, and it's difficult for our mind to really our mind starts to wander the minute we sit down. So these are some of the things that I'm just telling you will help you to really anchor this practice. The second thing you can do is you can really do any form of exercise which you like. Yoga is actually really balances your body and your mind together. So it's very beneficial, because again you're focusing on your breath, you are doing some of the asanas, and you're really being mindful of the present moment. So this could be anything again. Some of us like to do running, jogging, dancing, painting. So all of these therapeutic art forms can really bring you to the present moment again, because remember again, what we are trying to tackle is our racing thoughts. So when you actually really, and some of you might have be having a hobby of painting wherein you really get immersed in that moment. You really don't think of any other thing except doing that. So it's a very, very good way to train your mind. When you are completely in that moment, you are immersed in that moment, and that's when really thoughts don't come to you. So I think, lastly, I would really want our viewers to know that they can talk to their friends and family if they are a bit hesitant before talking to taking professional help, because releasing these and letting your friends and family know might also help to a certain degree. They will begin to understand you better. They will not be forcing you to do some things which you are not really up to for that moment. So yes, so I think these are at least some of the ways you can start with if you see there is a little bit of anxiety or anxiousness beginning to happen. And as I had earlier just said about when to draw the line, is what when Asri had asked, when the threshold comes, no, that's it, I really need to. So please do not hesitate that time to take professional help, because again, it has various levels. At a very surface level, we call it anxiety, but again, if not treated, then there are other disorders like generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, and a lot of other disorders that can come. So my only request to all of the viewers is really tackle it at the initial phase, at the initial level, when you have all the resources with you, and really not wait till that moment when things are really not in your control. The good news is, even if you come for professional help, especially right now at HPC, we are actually offering, there are all modes available online, through Zoom, through phone counseling, because some of the clients are not very comfortable in Zoom as well, and lastly, face to face. So it's really at your convenience, at your time, and it doesn't hamper your any other routine. So yes, these are also some of the ways that, if you are a bit hesitant on where to start, where to begin, help is really available, and uh, it's there for you. Yeah.
Thank you, Chef, for sharing. Henny, maybe since we have introduced you as a therapeutic art counselor, I'm really curious because Shreya actually mentioned something about adopting therapeutic art, as a form of therapy and an outlet for people to actually cope with anxiety. Since you are the expert for today, do you mind sharing probably what is exactly therapeutic art and how does it actually help us to cope with anxiety?
I think making time, thank you, Asri, making time to express ourselves, yourself, and use art as an outlet for our feelings is very important. It can calm our nervous system. It's the meditative, quiet, and calming moments. It creates a state of flow when we use art to reduce our stress. It helps soothe symptoms of stress, nervousness, and our irritability. A calm mind, when we are calm, is better able to process difficult emotions and experiences. So never mind if you cannot paint well or you think you're not good in art. Um, it's it's the time that you put aside to create art is what matters. It's one of the to-go self-care activities that I would suggest anyone. So take for example, you can find a moment, to have a quiet time, gather the things that you have at home, color pencils or anything, or even pencils. If you have watercolor, great. If not anything, you can use your child's art supplies or not, if you have your own, and You just take a deep breath and you use that time to focus, um, just for yourself. Now, sometimes I would look out the windows and look out and draw what I see. I like to do mindful seeing. Uh, we have a video coming up on our HPC website on mindful seeing, so you can look out for that. Another example also I can suggest is, like how we can draw or paint our feelings, because sometimes clients and people that I talk to, they said, I don't know how to draw or what to draw, because thinking about what to draw itself is very stressful, and we don't want that. So the activity itself is to help us get in touch with how we feel, how you feel. How does your body feel? So take for example, you have all your setup ready and you are sitting on a sofa or at a dining table, you have your paper, and you do your breathing and you close your eyes and you ask yourself, how does my body feel right now? And if this feeling had a color or form or shape or weight or temperature or texture, what would it be? And you imagine all the details of your feeling right there and then. Now, it doesn't have to symbolize anything, it doesn't have to look like something. It can be just colors. Now, when you have imagined that, all the details, then you open your eyes. This is what you can do at home, right? And now you can now put your thoughts or imagination on the paper. So take for example, if when you're doing that activity and you imagine your feelings being sad or heavy or dark, then you may want to depict the heaviness or sadness that you feel on the paper using lines or shapes or colors, even texture. So it can be abstract. It doesn't have to look like anything. There's no right or wrong colors or types of lines to represent your feeling, you know. And you don't always have to know what your feeling looks like. Just allow yourself to work with your feeling and go with your gut, your intuition, what looks or feels right. And ask your feeling as you sit there doing your art activity, ask your feeling what color, what line, what shape feels right. And you express yourself. You get that color and you start painting, or you even want to scribble, or you want to draw. We tend to think and care too much of the outcome, and then we get consumed by our expectation. But when we let go, we can get in touch and gain access with those feelings. So this is one activity that we can do at home. Like how can we draw or paint our feelings? So that's one example as we.
I see. So, just to break any misconceptions about therapeutic art is as you mentioned, it's not about being too overly concerned about the outcome, because even personally I can't draw. I'm good at scribbling, but I tend to draw something which has stick figures. But then I think I get what you're trying to share is about us being able to express, using the medium of art. Am I correct to say that? So be it
Yes.
using watercolor, or even using stealing crayons from my kids, and then just using it to express. But I believe this interpretation of what is being put out on the canvas or put out on the paper. Am I right to say that yeah, it is one thing for me to be able to just put it on the paper and or on the canvas to say, hey, I actually produced that. It's from me expressing myself. But are
Mm-hmm.
you all for personally for therapeutic art counselor, are you all able to I would say understand the outcome of the drawing to be able to relate better to what exactly are we feeling when we throw those colors, or we do it in a certain abstract way. I keep using the word abstract because that's usually my defense when I say, oh, why are you drawing? Oh, that's abstract art. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So is it really true that these therapeutic art counselors are able to distinguish and advise me on probably what I could be doing or I'm feeling right now, and better coping at what's going on inside that I'm not aware of.
well, expressive therapy can be play therapy, can be art therapy. Because we use that we use them because talk therapy may not work for some. So expressive therapy may be more suitable for them. So what you were asking me earlier on, Azri, that was art in therapy. So take for example, art in therapy is when the therapist would ask the client to describe their drawing in detail, and then the therapist, the counselor, then relates what, like take for example, I would relate what I have heard about my client's life. And this approach can help looking at her or his artwork. This approach can actually help clients to reach deep insights into what's really happening in their lives. Of course, different clients, they respond differently. And as for earlier on when we talked about self care, the example that I gave you, like how to draw and paint your feeling, that's art as therapy. It is the process itself of drawing is very therapeutic. So when I use art as therapy, I ask my client about the process. I would ask the client how she felt while drawing. And again, this can lead to insights from the unconscious to shifting conscious, right? Because some people, they may use certain colors to represent how they feel. Uh, not everyone, not everyone think or use black to depict death or sadness or darkness, because I know of other clients who use black to celebrate, something that she had with her father before. So so this is when, as a therapy, in art therapy, we ask them different questions. We guide them, and to help them find out what's really is going on, to reach deep inside them. So there's no black and white answer, because if you're asking me that, there's no I can't say, like, okay, you may draw something that looks like this, and it means that, and it means the same as the other. No, it's not like that.
I see. Okay, thank you so much for sharing on the therapeutic art. I think it's also important to inform our viewers and audience today that it's not only art per se to be the instrument of the outlet, right? But you mentioned there's expressive therapy, and there are
Mhm.
in different mediums through how individuals such as ourselves will actually express our sentiments, even though it could be subconscious. Okay, I have a question. What is the role usually for counselors, say I were to go over to holistic psychotherapy center and say, hey, I think I need to talk to someone. Okay, so what is the thing that I need to understand, the misconceptions or the stigma of seeking assistance from another individual. So what is exactly the role of counselors in managing the concerns or the issues one could be facing? Which of you would like to share your thoughts on this?
Okay, I'll share. So, very importantly, we must understand that sometimes, we talk to our friends and family, but since our emotions are deep rooted and our concerns are deep rooted, we really need professional help. That's when the role of a counselor comes in. So, what does a counselor actually do during the therapy sessions? So, mostly it lasts for about 45 minutes to 1 hour, where we used evidence based therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, acceptance commitment, narrative art therapy, which Hernie has been talking about. So what we do exactly is depending on the presenting issue of the client, we work on that. So typically, the first session is mostly getting the client to talk about the presenting issue. And then what we do is we collaboratively discuss and think about how do we need to progress in further sessions and what is the goal, because sometimes there are lots of things that we are looking for and we really cannot do everything at the same time. So that's when we need to prioritize which are some of the things that are really affecting you at the moment. So we prioritize and we devise the goals that we will be working on together. And I would just like to tell you all or clarify, you are the expert of your knowing yourself the most. So a counselor is a facilitator, and it's only the way we collaborate, the client and the counselor, that we can get to the desired results. So everything is actually coming from you. Counselor actually helps you to really pinpoint what are the root causes of why you are feeling like this and what are the coping strategies. That's the most important thing, because currently the coping strategies that you are doing are may not seem to be working that well. That's why these are some of the emotions that are coming out or uncomfortable feelings. So a counselor will also widen your coping strategies. And yes, from a counselor's point of view, your goal is the most important. So that's how we really break it down and work session by session. So some of the issues are little bit require more time, so we need to progressively further continue for some more time. Some may once the client starts to feel good and comfortable, then that's the time we can end the therapy. So yes, so yeah, these are some of the ways I can tell how a counselor can really come and help you out. Right.
Honey, any additional thoughts on how can counselors render their assistance to whoever drops by the center, or probably you can share like how someone who might not even considered getting help ends up approaching a counselor for assistance because of a certain trigger that they are not aware of.
Thanks, Azri. Um, Adding on to what, excuse me, adding on to what Shreya had said, like also at HBC, when we are counseling or we're going to counsel or client is minor, we would also have an interview session with her or his parents to find out what are the presenting problems, and then what are their goals, and then after the interview, then we will also have a session uh, with the child before we proceed to more counseling sessions. And to regarding your question, Azri, can you repeat it again?
Okay, so let's say I am aware that there are counselors around to actually render their assistance to individuals who are seeking help, with their mental health issues. So how, or what do I uh, how do I approach HPC? So for example, perhaps later both of you can share more about what exactly HPC offers. So if I were to walk in, is there I'm sure that there will be this assessing, getting to know each other, as you talk me through a session, but is there a particular I won't say preference, but a trigger which can, spur the process along. So probably, because I would think like, oh, I just have a problem, I need help.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how do I seek out, or how do I reach out to this help that's available? Because you mentioned that there are many ways to do it. Just now Shiria was sharing about you can do it by Zoom, you can walk in and do one-on-one, and or even through a phone call. Yeah, so perhaps you can share more about what actually HPC does, and so that the viewers here today, or those who will be tuning on later to watch this video, they will be aware of the different avenues. So what can trigger me to want to, reach out? Because sometimes it's when you're already so anxious and stressed, you just need that trigger, that push, that to direct to your services. So perhaps maybe you all can share more about what the center can offer to those of us watching here today.
So, uh, first and foremost, I'll answer this question in two parts. The first one is what will actually allow you to actually come and seek help. We all need to understand, we all have different issues, so we cannot really say that this is a serious one or this is not. For me, I think all the client issues are very important, because they are actually not allowing them to really enjoy the present moment and seek a very fulfilling life. So my aim is, and of course our team, everyone's aim is to really get the client to a level where they can really enjoy their life in a fulfilling manner. They can maximize their potential and be really self-aware. They have a lot of coping mechanisms and strategies. So that is one thing which is uh, rest assured you will be getting if you get in for therapy. And of course, like I said, needless of any issue, because there can be anything that is triggering you. It's just not allowing you to lead a fulfilling life, or not having those coping strategies. So that is the first part. Secondly, what all HPC offers, I think after the session, we also will be sharing a video wherein all our services are listed. So we have individual, couple, and a host of other services available that we'll be showing to you. The issues that you can come for are any mental health concerns, which can be depression, anxiety, anger, stress, anything which is under this umbrella. And the therapies that we use, mostly, like I shared with you, CBT, ACT, narrative therapy, and a host of other evidence based therapies, art based, which Horni is sharing today. So which helps you to really reach that level. And of course, how do we do it? There are three mediums right now which are we are offering online. Again, in online there is through Zoom. Some of my clients do not prefer Zoom, so they have separate through a medium wherein it's a non-video. And the third is of course the face-to-face, where we do the sessions at our office, at our center, which is at Bugus. And yes, and the process is of course very simple. We once the client comes, there is registration, client confidentiality, all the forms to be filled up. That's the start. So yes, so all of these are some of the things that uh, are there in terms of our offerings, what you can get, and what can really trigger you, as Asri was mentioning, to go and really seek out help. Yeah.
Henny, any salient points to add on? Because we actually have a question.
We also can do phone call sessions,
Uh-huh.
counseling sessions as well, on top
Okay.
of the Zoom and the face to face.
Sure. Okay, so later I'll be sharing to all the viewers watching in. I'll be sharing a video on HPC and some of the so-called services that will be uh, sharing, providing to all of us here. But I have a question regarding how do you balance work-life stress? And this ties up with the topic that we are having today. And anyone would like to direct this question to the viewers?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, sure, sure, yeah, all yours.
So, very importantly, once we start working, we really kind of don't think about taking breaks. We think that we will tirelessly work and work, and sometimes this is at the back of our minds. So, definitely, what we really need to be mindful of is that mental health, physical health, all of this is really an integral part of how you really function. And definitely in your work, mental health plays a very important role. The more and more your mind is clear, you are rejuvenated, the better your performance is at work. So I think the best thing, and it's really not very difficult, is to really see that are you taking regular breaks from work? Are you really doing things that you like to do? And I think initially at the start of the session, we've been talking more about ways of tackling anxiety, and same applies to all of this, because all of this leads to our mental health. So what are we actually doing for that? That's the important question. So regularly taking breaks, doing things that you love to do, exercising, needless to say. uh, so giving your mind that break which it needs, because that's very important. Once your mind is your thoughts are it's clear, it's not full of thoughts racing towards future or past, you can definitely perform much better at work. So yeah, we need to continuously also be aware of this, and keep doing that, and some of you might say that, okay, we have long hours of working, we don't really get time for exercise or any other things. But definitely here I would like to say is, it's how you prioritize. Maybe start off with very very small goals at the first, uh, and then increase it as in when you have time. So definitely there'll be phases when you will have some more time than phases when you don't have. And also, if in case that you are not able to really continue something that you've started for some time because of reasons of work, you can definitely start, so long as you are aware of this. I think it will be helpful for you to just not stop there, but take a break. If it's paused, then do start it back again. So that's how we can really maintain that rhythm, and things can really function in balance, and we do not reach that stage of anxiousness and the other you know st- uh, high levels of stress or burnout. But we really do things at the right start, at the right time, and continue doing it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I guess it all boils down to consistency. Am I right? Like I don't really need to do something ambitious. It can be a simple task because I remember you mentioned somewhere that I can start off with exercise. So I think this also has something to do with the release of endorphins, which makes me or
Yes.
usually makes people feel better. But then of course because I'm so happy, I usually end up eating something more because I love to eat. And yeah, but I guess it all starts with consistency, doing things to actually manage, probably don't bring the stress of work at home and problems of home at work. Okay, so anything else to add, ladies? If not, I think everyone is dying to see the video, which HPC is keen to share with us. So it's gonna be a very short video, around 3 minutes. I will also need to highlight that If you have any questions for all the viewers, feel free to leave it in the comments. So apparently, some of my friends who are tuning in are very shy. They actually personally WhatsApp me the questions to actually direct to you ladies. Probably in the next 3 minutes, as I showcase this video, can I get everyone to ask any questions that you have regarding today's topic of managing better our work and family life. Probably if you have any questions on anxiety or seeking mental health assistance from any counselors here for a fact, yep, do direct them in the comment section, or you can, yeah, as what you all are doing, you can WhatsApp me the questions also, and I'll direct it to the ladies. Okay, if not, after this video, the ladies will be doing a short sharing before we end off today's session. So, ladies and gentlemen, the video for HPC, here you go. And we are back. Okay, ladies, I think it's time for us to hear some of your thoughts and some of the closing remarks that you have for all the viewers today. perhaps maybe we can just yeah, open it to the floor. If you have any closing remarks for all those who are tuning in today.
Uh,
Sure. So,
sure.
I think what we discussed primarily today is about anxiety, how we are experiencing it, especially during these times when they are uncertain. And I think one thing which I would like to say to all our viewers is that we all have different emotions. And sometimes we have more than one at the same time. There are positive as well as negative emotions. Uh, don't be very frightened or scared when there are negative emotions. Just My message to you all is, uh, as human beings, we all would have these at some point or the other. uh, but we should be able to have those strategies to really deal with them. And if they are causing any hindrances in our work, in our personal life, and really try to do things that really help us to get back to enjoy life in a present way, and in a very fulfilling manner. And that's the most important thing. And definitely, there are a lot of things that you can do, and some of which we really discussed today in today's session. But still, if you feel stuck, if there is something that you still feel things are not really working in the way that it should, then please do not hesitate to take professional help, which is really available. And yeah, so that's what my message would be for all of you today. Thank you. Right.
Okay. So, first of all, we would like
Yeah,
to
over to
thank.
you, Asri.
Sorry, you were in the midst of going to say something.
No, I just ended.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah,
just,
Henny.
yeah.
Henny,
Okay.
I believe you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry,
Okay.
I thought I got cut off.
Oh,
Sorry,
no, it's okay. It's
Azri.
okay.
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Grandi Wellness, for inviting us from Holistic Psychotherapy Center. Um, it has been a pleasure to be here. I just want to say that experiencing occasional anxiety is a normal part of life. And self care, taking care of your well-being is very important. It could be for your emotional, your physical, your psychological, and spiritual health. So accept that we cannot control everything, and put your stress and anxiety in perspective. Is it really as bad as you think? And maintain a positive attitude. Make an effort to replace our negative thoughts with uh, positive positive ones. And of course, our door is always open for anyone who needs time to, or needs help to talk over their issues and about their anxiety. So thank you again for having us today.
Thank you, Shiria, and thank you, Henny, for your valuable time today. I think the past coming to 1 hour is very fruitful and informative. We look into things like anchoring your thoughts, not letting these thoughts race, and also, certain ways that we can express ourselves. And, also knowing that the Holistic Psychotherapy Center is always there for us to reach out in case we need any help. So, ladies, thank you so much for spending your Sunday with us. I really appreciate it on behalf of Grandi Wellness Network. And I think that's all for today. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant weekend. See you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Shia. Thank you, Honey. See you
Thank
around. Bye
you.
Thanks,
bye.
Thank
Azri.
you.
Bye.
Okay, to all those tuning in today, I hope it has been a very fruitful session. Taking your time off this Sunday, or probably if you're watching this later on. If you have any questions, please feel free to direct them under the comments, or you may contact Holistic Psychotherapy center directly. You can just get in touch with the counselors who's available for you 24/7. Okay, thank you so much. That's all from me on behalf of Grandi Wellness Network as part of our mental wellness series. Good day. Okay, bye bye.